there are times when I become electric, and it's like I have a conduit, some sort of umbilical to the source, and that we all do. We all have access to what some people call an Akashic record, and we all share it amongst ourselves because everything is interconnected.
Absolutely, and I find it fascinating that you are describing exactly what I describe in spiritual terms. You're describing it in physical terms, and it is a oneness, a wholeness. We are all part of the same thing, and that's basically what we've got to get. It's all energy, everything. So with a very, very little difference in vibration, you can have I don't know, a snake or a pig, or it's just a difference in vibration. And the higher the vibration, the better the things you attract.
Right, that's true. The law of attraction, there's been a lot of interest and fascination out of this idea, and it seems to be the way they've presented this information just recently over the last decade is that this is information that perhaps underground societies have kind of kept to themselves for years and years and years, beginning with the creation of the United States, in a sense, this idea of the law of attraction, the idea of real-life magic that the general populace was not considered to be allowed to be privileged to partake in, and now is kind of emerging. I have to ask this question because, and it's kind of coming out from left field, but like I say, my show is called The Unified Field, and I'm trying to bring all kinds of aspects of the paranormal together into one idea. Crop circles have been a huge, huge scene for the last, well, I'm going to say 30 years, but in the last 10 to 15 years in particular, there's been some interesting messages that have been deciphered in England, all over, and mostly around sacred sites and mounds that are considered to be thousands of years old. A lot of these crop circles and seem to indicate some sort of level of information that's been unknown to man previous to the deciphering of these images. Now, there are a lot of skeptics that say it's Doug and Dave with a board going around and doing this, but then there are hard scientists going in there and taking magnetic readings, electromagnetic readings, the microwave radiation of the nodes, where it's bent and regrowing and changing the actual growth and evolution of the weed itself. Some of these crop circles have presented new mathematical formula unknown to science and math up until the time that they were decoded. There are so many questions I can ask you about what your feelings are about this, but I have to ask two specifically. What are your feelings on crop circles and this new age kind of dawning upon us? And B, do you think that it is some sort of natural force taking place, or perhaps some sentient, benevolent species that may be connected to us?
Okay. Well, I have to say that I do believe that it's some kind of sentience that is causing this. I also know that Doug and Dave with their board do what they do, and they make what they make. But there is a difference between a true crop circle and a hoax. Unfortunately, they've tarred them all with the same brush. But nevertheless, there are genuine. There is a genuine article, and you're right, very right. New mathematical formula, new things that we can only dream of. And the way that science is going, we have quantum physics, the string theory, and it is just so fascinating. We now know categorically that there are different dimensions. And I think crop circles are an example of that. I don't think they're from outer space. That's my personal feeling. I think they're from another dimension.
It seems to be a common theory now,
yeah.
Not only with the idea of crop circles, but of visitation from possible species.
Yeah.
The idea of some group traveling, eons of light years to get here seems to be improbable unless they have either some scope on time and space that we have no idea about yet, or they are opening doorways between dimensions and may not even be physical entities at all, because we're discovering that life can take on so many different forms that we were so narrow-minded about to even consider before. So I have to make the connection to my last point for today. I know there's a lot going on. I'm doing a series on the program called 2012. And that is such a vast and complex idea in itself. But I'm going to make it simple for the listeners out there in Unified Field. There are two basic castes of people who look into 2012. Or, there are two typecasts of people when you think of 2012. There are the type of people that think of the apocalyptic scenario of the doom and gloom CGI film 2012 that just came out. And then there's the other camp of people, like prolific philosophical thinkers like the McKenna-esque Daniel Pinchbeck out of New York that think that almost basically what you and I think, that this is a time of transformation, and the reality that we have is the reality that we choose to make, and that we do have a conscious choice on the state of the future of our planet and ourselves therein. What is your take on 2012? I know it's very similar to that, but do you agree with Daniel Pinchbeck in saying that, we are returning to an indigenous recurrence of belief systems and transcendence through terrible times by manifesting our future?
Yes, absolutely. I do believe that you do manifest your own future. The whole theme throughout, ever since man decided there was a God, which we don't know when that was. It was probably when a baby took its first cry. The whole theme has been, you have free choice. It's up to you. You get to write it as you go along. I read the tarot cards, but I'm not a fatalist. It's like, this is the probable future based on what you're doing at the time, but you get the choice. You can always put on the brakes. There's always free choice. So yes, I do believe that. I don't necessarily believe in an apocalyptic scene. If you want my honest opinion for what it's worth, I think it's already started. I think we're halfway through. I think people are dividing, and both realities will continue for a while.
Right. Yeah, I do. I'm looking at the climatic trends and global warming and climate change, and it seems to indicate that you're exactly right. This has begun quite a long time ago, but it seems like we are at the apex. That's why I bring up 2012, because it seems like everything is coming to a head. Storms, earthquakes, mudslides, floods, drought, the loss of major water supplies all over the world. Just this week, we had an eruption in Iceland. We had, huge floods in Brazil, as well as another earthquake in Tibet that killed 589 Tibetans and injured something like 1,000, or maybe even more. I definitely think there's a correlation between the planet itself trying to cope with the drastic changes that have taken place on this planet and almost forcing us, in a sense, to evolve quicker to deal with the idea. And it's possibly cyclical, and that's why I talk about the Mayans. Do you feel like there is a correlation between the changes in the geography of Earth and the shift of our minds?
Yes, absolutely. I think that we went forward very fast and very far in the technical area. I don't think we kept pace with sociology, with economics, with politics in particular. We couldn't cope with the vast technological advancements that we'd made, and Earth is going to regulate that. And yes, there have been a lot of things going on, as indeed were predicted that would happen at these times. But I don't think it's an end. I don't see it as an end. I see it as a change, and for the better.
Well, Sylvia Richards, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you here at this annual Psychic Fair event. Thank you from me, Justin Brown, and all of the listeners here on the Unified Field.
Thank you very much, Justin.
And can I get an email address or phone number where folks can contact you and talk to you directly?
Yes, at 435-2559. That's in Dartmouth. And my site is www.yourspiritualhaven.com.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So there you go, the lovely Sylvia Richards. It's obvious why I had such a great time talking with her if you just listen to the interview. She's a sweet lady, very kind, and check her out. Give her a call. yourspiritualhaven.com. Go get a reading done, 902-435-2559. She's a wonderful lady. She's got some great insight, and she may be able to read into you like you have never read into yourself.